Assalamu alaikum. Hi, Oracle Reiki spiritual healer, and I want to talk to you about humility and patience. I want you to understand, being observant and being in alignment to God will let you heal from other people. So, when you guys are teaching, I am a lot grateful that when you're teaching certain aspects, then you can become a student. I become a student at certain times, because when you're entering into a realm that you've never been in, then you have to show humility. You have to show respect to the ones who have been doing the work. So these are the understandings that I have. And I gathered this wisdom and information at a very early age because this story is about my father, and I've always been a daddy's girl. And I suspect that'll never change. So my father had a horse. He would take us to my mother's farm, my mother's hometown. And they had a farm, and he had a horse. And the horse would only let him ride it. So I wanted to ride this horse, and I would have a hissy fit because my father would put me on the horse with him and ride me around. So I got to be a certain age, I wanted to ride the horse. And my mother wouldn't let me because the horse only liked my father. So I was having a hissy fit. I was falling out. I was mad. So every time I go near the horse would hit me with his head, knock me down, and then I'd be, really, really, mad. So the horse, it's not that the horse didn't like me. It's that my father, when I stood back and watched my father was giving the horse food. My father had carrots. My father had apples. And so when I realized this, then I started to have carrots and apples too. I started to have, tried to give it some celery and everything. And the horse accepted it. And I was able to get onto the horse. And then my mother saw me and made me get down. So this is our story for the day, that when you stand back and you're observant, then you're able to do things. When you're able to take the heed of other people, when you're able to understand with wisdom, and you bring discernment to the situation, you're able to do things that you normally would not be able to do. Okay, so I am, one of those persons. I've learned patience. I've learned to share my wisdom in certain areas with people, and these are one of those behaviors that I wanted to share with you and where I got it from. Because certainly, I was never able to ride that horse. That was the only time that I was able to get on that horse because, no, my mother wasn't playing. My mother, you get down, before he throws you down, you break something. So, learning and understanding is a part of life. I do not look at corrective feedback as, someone is just criticizing me. I look at it as, going into a position, another realm with the information that I need, being armed. And this is how we have to look at it. Even when I was a manager, people used to feel bad because, they had been doing a job for, longer than I had. And I would come in there and I would correct them by the book. And they would feel bad. They had been letting people in these positions, do what they wanted to do or do, or create their own procedures. And so I'm coming in by the book because we want to make bonuses. We want to make sure that the health department doesn't come in here and you're doing it this way without gloves. We want to make sure that it's clean, not only inside of the grill, but it's clean behind the grill. So these are the understandings that I had, and I taught these types of wisdoms to people before me who were in these restaurants, who, who were my subordinate managers, and all of that. So, I have a really humble way of approaching things. And, sometimes I think it's funny because I'm like, man, I should have known that. Man, I should have did that. But, these are the understandings that we have. And I know that all of us go through these types of behaviors, when it comes to being humble, when it comes to being patient, when it comes to teaching wisdom. There are some people that feel like, they should have your position. They should be able to do things that you're able to do. And then there are some things that you're just not allowed to do, but you have the experience that, if I wanted to, I could do that, So, if my mother say I can't get on the horse, I can't get on the horse. So I have other different kinds of experiences with animals. I love animals. I just don't like to be very high up. When that horse stood up, it was like I was 7 feet tall with the horse. And I got scared. And my mother saw that I got scared. And she was like, you can't be on the horse if you're scared. You got to come off from over there. You finna get down right now before he throws you off. And so at that point, I realized that, my behavior could affect, not only a situation, it could also affect other people. So I wanted to, give you this understanding. No, I've never ridden a horse, but I was able to get on it just because, please don't go to Georgia and think that everybody has rode a horse. I had access to the horse, but I wasn't allowed to ride the horse except for with my father. And, that is a tragedy. That's a tragedy. What kind of self-respecting Georgian am I? And I have jokes. I have jokes about different kinds of situations because, again, I love animals. And sometimes animals are unpredictable. People are unpredictable. Children are unpredictable. But in this case, I didn't understand what kind of danger I was in. I didn't understand. And my mother understood, and she was able to intervene. And so that's how I look at a lot of you. You're intervening on something that, and giving your advice, so that the behavior is in alignment with what you understand, with what you have been doing, with what you see could potentially go wrong, and I appreciate that when people are able to look into the future or look into the situation and make corrections as needed. It's not belittling, it's not demeaning, and I trust your insight. I trust your insight. And this is what we have when we have our content creators that speak positively, but they can get a little rough on you. They can get a little harsh on you. So, I really appreciate all of you. I appreciate your content. I appreciate all that you do. I've highlighted some of you, and I try to keep that to a minimum. But, I really appreciate all of you who are, giving our people positive content, positive role models, giving the wisdom and the understanding, and letting them know that, we care and we are able to reach you if you're willing to listen, if you're willing to take the time and have patience, if you're willing to get the understanding that we will be with you, we will have that patience, and if necessary, we are feeding you from the truth. And if we feed you from the truth, like I did that horse, if you feed him the right things, he's gonna bow down and submit. So that's how we want to be, and that's how we want to be able to relay our message to other people so that they can get the truth and submit to the truth without you screaming and hollering, without you being demeaning or belittling, without you being arrogant or prideful. So this is my message for you today. I hope you received this message. Please like, share, and subscribe to me over all of my platforms. I'm High Oracle. You can book your one-on-one session so I can acclimate a gift to you. Donate to my channel. Assalamu alaikum.